we talked about the Hall of Fame. Okay, 2 new inductees to the male Hall of Fame, 2 to the female Hall of Fame. The question I want to pose is, who do you think is going to be the next male player, former player, to be inducted into the Hall of Fame? So straight away, you might sort of think there's a couple of contenders there. We did a bit of bouncing backwards and forwards before we started to record, and we come up with a couple of names. So we're going to come into them in a minute, so stay with us. But remember that criteria. So they must have played 10 years in the British game. They have got to be retired for at least 5 years before they're eligible. And, you know, when you think about like Jamie Peacock, Paul Sculthorpe and the accolades they've got in regards to the game, that, you know, it's not just any old bloody... Yeah, it's got to... You've got player. They've got to be a significant player to get involved. So really think about that. So, Karl, who do you think is up there as potentially the next... You know, if we could to speculate who would be next inducted into the Hall of Fame?
Well, it's quite an obvious one for me, and I said this to you before, but being a Bradford fan, I think Robbie Paul did a load for the game.
Do you know, I can hear a load of people going, what the fuck?
No,
you're right, he did.
Yeah.
But to justify it.
At a time when, remember before Super League started, Rugby League wasn't in a great shape, was it? We had the Stones Bitter Championship or whatever it was called back then. And Super League came about, and obviously Bradford, they transformed as a club at that time, but it was all centred around this one young lad, Robbie Paul. I think he was 17, 18 at the time when he broke into the Bradford ranks, and he really set Super League on fire for a number of years, and it was the youngest ever player to win the Lansdowne Trophy at Wembley on the losing team, I may add. And then obviously Bradford went on to win numerous championships, World Club challenges, and he wasn't just I thought he was great. He was a good player. He was great when his brother came as well, when Bradford had Henry playing alongside him, but he was a really good advocate for the sport, and I think he ticks a lot of boxes. He's been retired over 5 years, and I think he's one that should be in. I know he's not British, but he played in the British game, and he kind of sees himself as a bit of a New Zealand Yorkshireman these days.
Do you think because when you think about Jamie Peacock, like, he did transcend more than one team. Do you think Robbie Paul has done a similar thing?
No, but he's always. I mean, I know he played a little bit at Salford, didn't he? And he played a little bit at Huddersfield, but it was the end of his career at that point. He'll always be remembered as a Bradford player, and I don't think it matters that. There's lots of great players in the Hall of Fame that have only ever played for one club. Andy Farrell, I know Gary Schofield dotted around, but he'll always be remembered for being a Leeds player, won't he? The likes of Billy Boston, people like that. So no, I don't think it matters that it can be one club, I think.
Okay, yeah, interesting one then. It's interesting he went for a Bradford player and mates.
Well, talking about it though, if you think about it, there's only been one of the things we said is you've got to have really won the Super League or Challenge Cup. There ain't been many teams.
No. You've got to do that multiple times, haven't you?
Yeah, so you've only really got Wigan, Saints, Bradford,
Leeds to go off, really. Yeah, I know. But like Jamie Peacock, he very clearly transcended more than one team, and I wonder if that's played a part in the decision to induct him in, and the fact he's the most decorated player in the game.
Yeah. There's other players, and we talked, didn't we? But I don't know if they're obviously James Roby. I think we will see him inducted into the Hall of Fame in years to come. He hasn't been retired long enough, has he? But all-time record games in Super League. Am I right in thinking that? Yeah, no one's played more games than him.
Yeah.
I think we'll see James Roby in years to come. Any others you can think of?
Well, I mean, the one that springs to mind for me is the very obvious Kevin Sinfield. The thing that I worry about there is I don't know if he had that much of an illustrious international career and whether that actually means something. What do you think? You're smirking, so...
Look, Kevin Sinfield... incredible what he did for Leeds Rhinos, and I think what he's done off the field it has been even more incredible than what he achieved as a Leeds Rhinos player and captain. If you're asking me about England, I will never forget ever the semi-final against New Zealand when he shot out the line and Sean Johnson stepped around him, and the rest is history. Yeah. But I don't think that should really come into account. Do you?
I don't know. I mean, it's a tough question because what I'm thinking now is like, I'm thinking.
If you sit on the fence long enough, you might get a sore ass. No, you once told me that.
I'm not sitting on the fence. All I'm thinking, I'm thinking like, everything that he's done for the game. Like, when we think about the criteria, obviously we've got what they must meet, but like, what have they done for the game? And I'm just wondering, like, he's done an incredible amount for the game.
Yeah, he has.
In recent years, and is that enough to induct him into the Hall of Fame, or has it got to be like he's playing? Because he did have an incredible club career.
Yeah, look how many titles he won, and you only got to remember the year that Leeds Rhinos finished. What was it? Finished sixth, went on to win the title, and his captaincy was. It was, the mark of him, wasn't he? It was an incredible captain. I said incredible again.
I know, mate. You're well past your quarter.
He was a brilliant captain. Fantastic. Yeah, I think Kevin Sinfield deserves a spot in the Hall of Fame.
Despite the missed tackle on Sean Johnson.
I can just about
let it go.
Let that one rest.
Okay, well, who do you think? Obviously, we picked out a couple of players there. It's definitely an interesting conversation to be had. Really interested to hear what people say. And perhaps there's people in the past, like pre-Super League, that still haven't been recognised enough. And, they're waiting on the fringes to be inducted into there. So